Your Excellency, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia. I recognise their continuing connection to traditional lands and waters, and I'd like to pay respect to their elders, both past and present. I'd also like to pay respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander men and women who've contributed to the defence of Australia in times of peace and war. It is a pleasure to speak here today and in such fine company, and I'm honoured to be delivering this speech as the Commander of the Australian Fleet. I'll speak briefly of personal and team resilience in the context of service to our nation, before expanding to the larger issue of national and regional economic and security resilience. Today, as is the case almost every day, nearly 2,000 men and women of the Royal Australian Navy are at sea in 22 ships and submarines, with more than 800 personnel force assigned to the Chief of Joint Operations, serving from the coast of Australia as far north as the waters of Japan. These people provide the visible embodiment of Australian government policy across the Indo-Pacific region. And despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, Royal Australian Navy ships and submarines have maintained our commitment to training, certification, and operational activities across the Indo-Pacific, from Canada and the United States to the east, India and Sri Lanka to the west, and Japan and South Korea to our north. Your Navy's resilience and professionalism is underlined by the fact that these operations have been carried out despite the ever-present risk of COVID-19. Sometimes crews have deployed from cities in lockdown, such as Sydney, leaving families behind to face the challenges alone while our crews deploy for disaster relief and other operations, conducting contactless port visits and sometimes returning again months later straight into lockdown in their home port. It is true, this is a demanding operating context, and we should all be proud of the professionalism and resilience of our people. That said, our service isn't about personal challenges. Service is about overcoming personal challenges in order to serve a higher purpose. And in this context, I'd like to show you a short video clip.
It's really important that we continue to be able to operate both domestically and overseas, despite the environment that a COVID pandemic results in. Despite that, I'm really proud of the way the ship's company have been able to demonstrate their resilience and their skill and their commitment to the region to be able to push through the challenges that such a deployment presents.
So there was a request by New South Wales Health for the ADF assistance to help with the vaccination outreach and rollout through that region. That was done urgently as a result of the COVID-19 Delta outbreak that was spreading through New South Wales. The Defence Force stood up 70 personnel very quickly and deployed those personnel out from Dubbo and from there out into the Western New South Wales Area Health. And those 70 personnel were then divided into 5 vaccination outreach teams who were deployed in support of New South Wales Health. The vaccination outreach teams were able to administer 50,600 vaccinations. Not only did they administer 50,000 odd vaccinations, but that meant they dealt with 50,000 plus members of the public, a community that was very afraid and frightened about their own health outcomes. And so it was a very rewarding experience to be part of. So not only did we result in 50,000 vaccinations delivered, but countless numbers of lives saved. And the tangible other effects were a high level of positive community engagement by the ADF with the New South Wales communities and a visible reduction in vaccine hesitancy.
Basically, we were at sea already. There was talks of a cyclone in Fiji, and not long after we got a pipe from the captain and he confirmed that we were going to Fiji. We didn't have very long to prepare. I think it was a day turnaround that they gave us. So yeah, we basically just got the ship ready to go and then we left. It was honestly the most rewarding thing that I've done in my career. I think these are the sorts of trips that me personally I joined for. I remember in 2016 a similar thing happened in Fiji. They had cyclone as well, and Canberra went for that one, and I was still in training, so I wasn't able to go or anything like that. But I remember just saying to myself, these are the types of trips that I want to go on. And so I was really grateful to be able to go, and being from Fiji, it meant a whole lot to me.
See, our sailors understand that their service directly contributes to our national resilience, but also to the wider stability and prosperity of our region. As we begin another high-risk weather season, our large hull vessels and their crews stand ready to provide a broad range of assistance to the states and territories of Australia, but also to respond to our neighbours in their times of need. Whether that be evacuating Australians to avoid the effects of bushfires or floods, or deploying into the region to provide emergency relief after cyclones and earthquakes. Our people understand that our strength is founded on not only our resilience, but also that of our neighbours. When the safety, well-being and resilience of our neighbours is at risk, our people answer the call selflessly. So there is a strong connective tissue between personal, professional and national resilience. But your Navy also plays a key role in enabling and protecting our economic resilience, a vital national security concern. We are a maritime nation. This land, girt by sea, relies on the freedom of the maritime commons for our prosperity. We are the 5th largest user of shipping services globally. Over 98% of our imports and exports, and over 79% by volume, are dependent upon shipping that travels through the Indo-Pacific and beyond. Our financial system is largely enabled by the many intercontinental cables that run along the sea floor. In pre-COVID terms, this trade accounted for over $600 billion per annum, making relevant geography in the maritime commons our vital national terrain. As the great maritime strategist Alfred Mahan said, seaborne commerce and naval power are meshed together, with the Navy providing security on the sea. In this sense, when risks accrue within the maritime commons, risks also accrue to our national economy. And when those risks morph into national security risks, the relevance and strength of our Navy becomes a national talking point. COVID-19 has impacted seaborne global supply chains, while regional tensions centred on sovereignty claims and differing interpretations of the law of the sea present potential risks to maritime trade, depending on which commentator you listen to. Collectively, though, these issues manifest as risks to our economic well-being and resilience, and in this context, the efficient and effective flow of maritime trade across the global commons, indeed across the Indo-Pacific, is a vital national concern, and key regions across the global commons are our vital terrain. So, understanding and monitoring trends and issues. We have a problem? No. So, understanding and monitoring the trends and issues across our vital terrain is central to our national economic and in turn security resilience. To our north lies the extraordinarily complex and diverse Indonesian archipelago, our gateway to Southeast Asia. To its east, the Coral Sea, our gateway to the islands of the Southwest Pacific. And to our west lies the mighty Indian Ocean, our gateway to the subcontinent and beyond. These are the sea-based roads and suburbs that constitute our neighbourhood, and your Navy is in many respects, along with our Army and Air Force partners, your neighbourhood watch. Walking these streets to enable our understanding of the contemporary maritime environment, enabling an assessment of emerging risks and issues across our vital terrain, and enabling our access to allies and partners despite the COVID-19 pandemic. This concludes my presentation, and although I focused on the Royal Australian Navy, in closing I would expand the aperture and offer to you that the personal and professional resilience of our people across the defence enterprise and their families is directly connected to national and regional resilience and the stability and well-being of our region, as I'm sure my fellow environmental commanders will undoubtedly attest. Thank you.